My mom texted me 5 words that ended everything: "Don't call or come over." I replied with just 2. Got it. What happened next destroyed my family forever. I'm Jennifer Hayes. I'm 35 years old, I live in Tulsa, and I work as an interior designer. For most of my life, I thought being a good daughter meant showing up no matter what. Sacrificing everything. Giving until there was nothing left. I was wrong. This is the story of how one text message revealed the truth about my entire family, and how walking away became the only way to save myself. Before we dive in, if stories like this resonate with you, if you've ever felt used by the people who were supposed to love you most, hit that subscribe button right now. And leave a like to help this channel grow and bring more real stories like mine to people who need to hear them. Trust me, you're going to want to follow what happens next. Let me take you back to where this all started. Not to the text message. That came later. This story begins when I was 8 years old, sitting on the edge of my bed, listening to my parents scream at each other through the thin walls of our tiny apartment. My dad was drunk again. My mom was crying. And my little brother Aaron, who was only 5 at the time, was hiding under his blanket in the bed next to mine, shaking. I remember climbing down from my bed, walking over to his, and whispering that everything would be okay. That I would protect him. That's the moment I became the parent in our house, even though I was just a kid myself. My father left when I was 10. Just walked out one day and never came back. No goodbye. No explanation. My mom fell apart. She stopped cooking. Stopped cleaning. Some days she wouldn't even get out of bed. So I learned how to make mac and cheese from a box. I learned how to forge her signature on permission slips. I learned how to lie to teachers when they asked why I looked so tired. Aaron needed me. That's what I kept telling myself. And my mom, she needed me too. She would tell me all the time how mature I was, how responsible, how she didn't know what she would do without me. At the time, I thought that was love. I thought that meant I mattered. By the time I was 16, I had a part-time job at a grocery store. Most of my paycheck went to keeping the lights on and food in the fridge. My mom worked too, but her money always seemed to disappear. Later I found out she had a gambling problem. But back then, I just thought we were unlucky. I thought if I worked harder, if I gave more, things would get better. They never did. I got into a good college. Full scholarship. It was my ticket out. My chance to build something for myself. But the week before I was supposed to leave, my mom sat me down at our kitchen table and cried. She told me she couldn't manage without me. That Aaron needed his big sister. That I was abandoning them. So I stayed. I went to community college instead. Lived at home. Kept working. Kept paying bills. Kept holding everything together while my own dreams got smaller and smaller. I told myself it was temporary. That once Aaron graduated high school, once my mom got back on her feet, I could focus on my own life. But that's the thing about people who take and take and take. They never stop needing. And you never stop giving. Aaron graduated. He didn't go to college. He got a job at a warehouse, but he quit after 3 months because his boss was disrespectful. Then he got another job. Quit that one too. My mom made excuses for him every single time. Said he was sensitive. Said the world was too hard on him. Said he just needed time to find himself. Meanwhile, I was 25 years old, still living in the same house, still paying most of the bills, still putting my life on hold. I had started taking online classes for interior design. It was the one thing I did for myself. The one dream I hadn't completely given up on. I met someone around that time. His name was David. He was kind, patient. He saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself anymore. We dated for 2 years. He asked me to move in with him, to start a life together. I wanted to say yes so badly. But my mom got sick. Or at least, that's what she said. She had these vague symptoms that doctors could never quite diagnose. Headaches, fatigue, dizziness. She needed me home to help her, to drive her to appointments, to take care of things. David was understanding at first. But after 6 months of canceled dates and me always putting my family first, he sat me down and said something I'll never forget. He said, Jennifer, you're not helping them. You're enabling them. And you're drowning yourself in the process. I got angry, defensive. I told him he didn't understand what it was like to have real family responsibilities. We broke up 2 weeks later. Looking back now, he was the only person who ever told me the truth. After David left, I threw myself even deeper into taking care of my family. I finished my online degree, started getting clients for interior design work. I was actually good at it. Really good. Within a few years, I had built a solid business. I was making real money for the first time in my life. And my family noticed. My mom started asking for help with bigger things. Not just bills, but car repairs. Medical expenses that insurance didn't cover. A new laptop for Aaron because his old one was slow. It was always something. And I always said yes because that's what you do for family, right? You show up. You help. Aaron was 25 by then. Still living at home. Still bouncing between jobs. My mom babied him constantly. He could do no wrong in her eyes. Meanwhile, every time I visited, she had a new complaint about something I hadn't done or some way I had disappointed her. But I kept showing up. Kept writing checks. Kept being the reliable one. Then my mom started dating someone. His name was Frank. He seemed nice enough at first. A little rough around the edges, but he made her happy, and I thought that was a good thing. She deserved happiness after everything she'd been through, right? Wrong. Frank moved in after only 3 months. I didn't love it, but it wasn't my house, wasn't my call. What bothered me was how quickly Aaron attached himself to Frank. Suddenly Aaron had this father figure he'd never had, and Frank encouraged all of Aaron's worst habits. They'd stay up late drinking beer and watching TV while my mom waited on them hand and foot. I started visiting less. Not because I didn't care, but because every time I walked into that house, I felt this weight on my chest. This suffocating feeling that no matter what I did, it would never be enough. Then my mom called me one Tuesday afternoon. She needed money. $5,000. Said it was an emergency. She wouldn't tell me what for, just that she needed it right away. I had been saving for a down payment on a condo. My own place. After 32 years of living for everyone else, I was finally going to have something that was just mine. But I gave her the money. She promised to pay me back. She never did. 3 months later, she called again. Another emergency. $3,000 this time. I asked more questions. She got defensive. Accused me of not trusting her. Of being selfish. Of forgetting everything she'd done for me. Everything she'd done for me. I was the one who had raised Aaron. I was the one who had paid the bills when she couldn't get out of bed. I was the one who had given up college, given up David, given up every opportunity that came my way so she wouldn't have to face her own life alone. But I gave her the money anyway. Looking back, I think part of me believed that if I just gave enough, sacrificed enough, loved enough, they would finally see me. Really see me. Appreciate me. I was chasing something that was never going to come. The breaking point came on a random Sunday in March. I had stopped by the house to drop off groceries. I did that sometimes, just stocked their fridge because I knew money was tight for them. When I walked in, Aaron and Frank were sitting on the couch playing video games. My mom was in the kitchen. I put the groceries away and sat down to chat with her for a bit. That's when I noticed something. Aaron had new sneakers. Expensive ones. The kind that cost $300 minimum. I didn't say anything at first. But it nagged at me. Aaron didn't have a job. Again. He'd quit his last one a month earlier. So where did the money come from? I asked my mom. Casually. Just curious. She got flustered. Said Frank had bought them for him. As a gift. But Frank worked construction and barely made enough to cover his own expenses. Something didn't add up. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about all the money I'd given my mom over the years. The $5,000. The $3,000. The smaller amounts here and there that added up to tens of thousands of dollars. The next morning, I did something I'm not proud of. I logged into my mom's bank account. Years ago, she'd given me her login information so I could help her pay bills online when she was too sick to do it herself. I hadn't used it in a long time, but I still had it saved. What I found made me physically sick. Transfers to Erin. Hundreds of dollars at a time. Sometimes thousands. The $5,000 I'd given her for an emergency, she'd sent it directly to Erin the same day. The $3,000, same thing. I scrolled back further. Every cent I had ever given her had gone straight to my brother. I sat there staring at my laptop screen, and something inside me just broke. Not in a dramatic, explosive way. It was quieter than that. Like a door closing. I had spent my entire life being the dependable one. The responsible one. The one who sacrificed and gave and showed up no matter what. And in return, I had been lied to. Used. Taken for granted. I didn't confront her right away. I needed time to think. To process. To figure out what I was going to do. A week later, my mom called. She needed money again. $2,000 this time. Some story about the car needing repairs. For the first time in my life, I said no. She was shocked. Then angry. She raised her voice. Told me I was being cruel. That family helps family. That after everything she'd done for me, the least I could do was help her in her time of need. I stayed calm. I told her I knew about the transfers to Erin. That I knew she'd been lying to me. There was silence on the other end of the line. Then she said something that still haunts me. Erin needs help. You've always been fine on your own. That's when I realized the truth. I wasn't her daughter. I was her ATM. Her safety net. The person she called when she needed something, but never when she just wanted to talk. I couldn't remember the last time she had asked me how I was doing. Really asked. Not as a prelude to asking for money, but because she genuinely cared. I told her I needed space. Time to think. She didn't take it well. She accused me of abandoning her. Of being selfish. Of turning my back on family. I hung up. For 2 weeks, I didn't call. Didn't visit. Didn't respond to her texts. It was the first time in my life I had ever put myself first, and it felt terrifying and liberating at the same time. Then Erin called me. He was angry. Said I was tearing the family apart. That mom was crying every day because of me. That I needed to stop being so dramatic and just forgive her. I asked him if he knew about the money. If he knew Mom had been giving him every cent I'd sent her. He hesitated. Then he said, she was just trying to help me get back on my feet. Get back on his feet. He was 28 years old and had never been on his feet to begin with. I told him I was done. That I couldn't keep doing this. That they needed to figure their lives out without me. He called me a selfish piece of work and hung up. That hurt more than I expected. Erin and I had been close when we were kids. I had protected him. Taken care of him. And somewhere along the way, he had stopped seeing me as his sister and started seeing me as just another resource to exploit. I thought that was the end of it. I thought I could just quietly step back, set boundaries, and rebuild my life. But then came the text. It was a Thursday evening. I was at home working on a design proposal for a client when my phone buzzed. A message from my mom. Don't call or come over. We're done. 5 words. That's all it took to end 35 years of a relationship. I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me wanted to call her. To ask what I had done wrong. To try to fix it. But I didn't. Instead, I typed 2 words back. Got it. And I meant it. Before we continue, I need to ask you something. If this story is hitting close to home, if you've ever been in a situation where you gave everything and got nothing back, please take a second to subscribe to this channel. Leave a comment below telling me your story. Have you ever had to walk away from family? How did you do it? Your experience matters, and I read every single comment. And hit that like button so more people who need to hear this can find it. Now, let's get back to what happened next. The hours after I sent that text were strange. I kept expecting to feel something big. Sadness, maybe. Anger. Regret. But instead, I just felt numb. Like I was watching my life from the outside. I put my phone on silent and tried to focus on work. But I couldn't. My hands were shaking. My chest felt tight. I kept reading those 5 words over and over. Don't call or come over. We're done. What kind of mother says that to her daughter? What kind of mother ends a relationship over text because her daughter finally set a boundary? I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of my life. Every sacrifice. Every time I put them first. Every dream I gave up. And for what? By morning, I had 17 missed calls. 12 from my mom. 5 from Aaron. No voicemails. Just calls. Like they were testing to see if I would break. If I would come running back like I always did. I didn't answer. 3 days passed. The calls stopped. I thought maybe that was it. Maybe they had actually meant it when they said we were done. Part of me felt relieved. Like I could finally breathe. But then my phone rang again. This time it was a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. It was Frank. "Jennifer, you need to come over here right now," he said. His voice was hard. Angry. "Why would I do that?" I asked. "Because your mother is falling apart because of you. She's been crying for 3 days straight. You're killing her with this nonsense. Killing her. Like I was the villain in this story. Frank, I don't know what she told you, but I don't care what your excuse is," he cut me off. "You don't treat your mother like this. You don't abandon family. Get over here and apologize." Something inside me snapped. "No," I said. Simple as that. "What did you say to me?" I said no. "I'm not coming over. I'm not apologizing. And you need to stay out of this." He started yelling, calling me names, saying I was ungrateful and spoiled and that I thought I was better than everyone else. I hung up on him. My hands were shaking again, but this time it wasn't from fear. It was from anger. Pure, white-hot anger. Who did he think he was? He'd been in my mom's life for barely a year, and he thought he could talk to me like that? 10 minutes later, Aaron texted me. "You really messed up this time. Mom's in bad shape. Frank's right. You need to apologize." I didn't respond. Another text came through. "You always do this. You think you're so perfect. You think you're better than us. But you're not. You're just selfish." I blocked his number. Then I blocked my mom's number. Then I blocked Frank's. I sat there on my couch with my phone in my hand, and I cried. Not because I regretted it, but because it hurt. Because even though they had used me and lied to me and taken advantage of me for years, they were still my family. And walking away from family is supposed to be hard. But staying would have killed me. The next few weeks were the hardest of my life. I threw myself into work. Took on more clients than I could handle. Stayed busy so I wouldn't have time to think, to feel. My friends noticed. I had a small circle, people I'd managed to stay connected with despite everything. They asked if I was okay. I told them I was fine. I wasn't ready to talk about it yet. But one night, my best friend Sarah showed up at my apartment with wine and takeout. She didn't ask questions. She just sat with me. And eventually, I told her everything. She listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't judge. And when I was done, she looked me in the eyes and said, "I'm proud of you." I started crying again. "You did the right thing," she said. "I know it doesn't feel like it right now, but you did." I wanted to believe her. A month passed. Then 2. Then 3. No calls. No texts. Nothing. It was like I had never existed. And slowly, I started to feel lighter. Like I could breathe deeper. I started saying yes to things I'd always said no to before. Weekend trips with friends. Late dinners. A painting class I'd been wanting to take for years. I bought the condo I'd been saving for. It wasn't big, but it was mine. Every piece of furniture, every paint color, every detail was exactly what I wanted. No compromises. No one else's opinion. I hung photos on the walls. Photos of me and Sarah. Me and my other friends. trips I'd taken. None of them included my family. At first, that felt wrong. But eventually, it felt right. I started dating again. Nothing serious at first. Just casual coffee dates and dinners. I wasn't ready for anything heavy. But it felt good to put myself out there. To be seen as Jennifer, not as someone's daughter or someone's sister or someone's ATM. 6 months after that text message, I got an email. From Aaron. The subject line was empty. I almost deleted it without reading it. But curiosity got the better of me. It was long. Rambling. He said he missed me. Said things had been hard since I left. Said Mom wasn't doing well. He didn't apologize. Didn't acknowledge anything he or Mom had done. Just said he hoped we could move past this and be a family again. At the end, he asked for money. Said he was in a tough spot and needed $3,000 to get back on his feet. Again. I read it twice. Then I deleted it. I didn't respond. 2 weeks later, my mom sent me a Facebook friend request. I'd unfriended her months ago. I declined it. They were testing me, seeing if I'd break, if I'd come back. I didn't. Around the 8-month mark, something shifted. I stopped thinking about them every day. Stopped wondering if I'd made the right choice. I started to realize that the guilt I'd been carrying wasn't mine to carry. I had spent my entire life trying to fix people who didn't want to be fixed. Trying to earn love from people who only saw me as useful. And I was done. I started therapy. I should have done it years ago, but I always told myself I didn't have time or money. The truth was, I was scared. Scared of what I might uncover. Scared of admitting how bad things really were. My therapist helped me see patterns I'd been blind to. The way I'd been conditioned from childhood to put everyone else's needs before my own. The way I equated love with sacrifice. The way I believed that if I just gave enough, I would finally be worthy. It was painful work, but it was necessary. 1 year after the text message, I was having coffee with Sarah when my phone rang. Unknown number. I ignored it, but then it rang again. And again. Just answer it, Sarah said. Get it over with. I picked up. It was a woman's voice I didn't recognize. She introduced herself as a nurse from St. Francis Hospital. My heart dropped. Is this Jennifer Hayes? Yes. I'm calling about your mother, Linda Hayes. She's been admitted to the hospital. You're listed as her emergency contact. My mind went blank. What happened? I managed to ask. She collapsed at home. We're running tests now, but we need a family member here as soon as possible. I hung up and sat there staring at my coffee. What is it? Sarah asked. My mom's in the hospital. Sarah reached across the table and took my hand. What do you want to do? That was the question, wasn't it? What did I want to do? A year ago, I would have dropped everything and rushed to that hospital. Would have stayed by her side no matter what. Would have sacrificed everything, again, because that's what good daughters do. But I wasn't that person anymore. I don't know, I said honestly. You don't owe her anything, Sarah said gently. You know that, right? I did know that. Intellectually. But emotionally. That was different. I thought about it for hours. Went home. Paced my apartment. Called my therapist. She didn't tell me what to do. Just asked me questions. What did I need? What would serve me best? What would I regret? In the end, I decided to go to the hospital. Not for her. For me. Because I needed to see for myself what was happening. I needed closure, whatever that looked like. When I walked into that hospital room, my mom looked smaller than I remembered. Older. Fragile. Aaron was there. So was Frank. They both looked up when I entered. Aaron's face was hard. Frank just glared at me. Took you long enough, Frank muttered. I ignored him and walked to my mom's bedside. Her eyes were closed. She looked peaceful. For a moment, I felt that old familiar pull. That instinct to fix, to help, to make everything okay. But then Aaron spoke. Where have you been? He asked. His voice was cold. Living my life, I said simply. She's been asking for you. 4 months. And you just disappeared. I turned to look at him. Really look at him. He was 30 years old and still looked like a teenager. Still had that entitled expression on his face. Still expected me to drop everything and come running. I didn't disappear, I said. Mom told me not to call or come over. She said we were done. I respected that. She didn't mean it, he shot back. Then she shouldn't have said it. Frank stood up. You need to leave. You're upsetting everyone. I'm not doing anything, I said calmly. I came to check on my mom. That's it. You don't get to just show up now and act like you care. Something in me hardened. You're right, I said. I don't have to be here. I chose to be here. But I'm not doing this. I'm not going to stand here and be attacked for setting boundaries. I looked at my mom one more time. She still hadn't woken up. Maybe she really was asleep. Maybe she was pretending. I didn't know. And honestly, I didn't care anymore. I turned and walked out of that hospital room. Aaron called after me. That's it. You're just leaving. I stopped and looked back at him. Yeah, I said. I am. Because I finally learned that I can't save people who don't want to be saved. And I'm done drowning myself trying. I left the hospital and sat in my car for a long time. I expected to feel guilty, to feel like a terrible daughter. But I didn't. I felt free. I drove home in silence. No music. No podcasts. Just the sound of my own breathing and the hum of the engine. My phone started buzzing almost immediately. Aaron. I didn't answer. Then Frank. Ignored. Then a number I didn't recognize. Probably the hospital. I let it go to voicemail. When I got home, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on my balcony. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and pink and purple. Beautiful. I took a photo of it. Posted it on Instagram with no caption. Just the sunset. That felt like enough. The next morning, I woke up to 43 text messages. Most from Aaron. A few from numbers I didn't know. Probably relatives who had suddenly remembered I existed now that there was drama. I deleted them all without reading them. Then I got a call from my therapist. I'd texted her the night before, just a quick message saying I'd gone to the hospital and left. She wanted to check in. How are you feeling? She asked. Honestly, I feel okay. Is that wrong? There's no wrong way to feel, Jennifer. You set a boundary and held it. That's growth. It doesn't feel like growth. It feels like I'm a terrible person. Why do you think that? I paused. Thought about it. Because she's in the hospital. And I left. Did you leave because you don't care, or because staying would have harmed you? I didn't have an answer for that. Or maybe I did, and I just wasn't ready to say it out loud. Over the next few days, I waited for the guilt to come. For that crushing weight I'd carried my whole life. But it didn't come. Instead, I felt lighter, clearer, like I could finally see the situation for what it really was. My mom had been in and out of hospitals before, usually for things that turned out to be nothing serious. Panic attacks, she claimed, were heart attacks. Headaches, she was convinced, were brain tumors. The doctors always sent her home with reassurances and maybe a prescription for anxiety medication she never took. I wasn't heartless. I wasn't a monster. I just knew the pattern. 3 days after I left the hospital, Sarah invited me to lunch. We met at this little cafe downtown that we used to go to all the time before my life got consumed by my family's problems. You look different, she said as soon as she saw me. Different how? I don't know. Lighter. Like you're actually here. She was right. For years, even when I was physically present, my mind was always somewhere else. Worrying about my mom. Worrying about Aaron. Worrying about money and bills and problems that weren't even mine. I think I'm finally learning how to live my own life, I said. Sarah smiled. It's about time. We talked for hours. About everything except my family. About her new relationship. About a trip she was planning to Portugal. About my work and the clients I'd been taking on. Normal stuff. Regular stuff. The kind of conversations people have when their lives aren't falling apart. It felt good. When I got home that afternoon, there was a car parked in front of my building. I recognized it immediately. It was Aaron's. My stomach dropped. I considered turning around, driving somewhere else, anywhere else. But this was my home, my space, and I wasn't going to let him take that from me. I parked and got out. Aaron was leaning against his car, arms crossed. He looked angry. "We need to talk," he said. "No, we don't." "Yes, we do. You can't just walk away from family like this." I stopped walking and turned to face him. "Watch me," I said. "Mom's sick, Jennifer. Really sick this time. And you don't even care." "What's wrong with her?" I asked. Not because I didn't know, but because I wanted to hear him say it. He hesitated. "The doctors are still running tests." "So you don't actually know?" "That's not the point. The point is she needs you, and you're not there." I laughed. Not a happy laugh. A bitter one. "She needs me. Aaron, she told me we were done. She ended our relationship. Over text. And now, because she's in the hospital, I'm supposed to just forget about that and come running back." She was upset. She didn't mean it. Then she should have said that. She's had a year to reach out, to apologize, to acknowledge anything she did wrong. But she didn't. The only reason you're here now is because she needs something from me. Aaron's face got red. "You're unbelievable. You know that. You think you're so much better than us. You always have." "I don't think I'm better than anyone. I just finally realized I deserve better than this. Better than family. Better than being used." He took a step toward me. Not threatening, exactly, but aggressive. "You gave Mom that money because you wanted to. Nobody forced you." "You're right. Nobody forced me. I gave it because I loved her. Because I thought that's what family does. But she lied to me, Aaron. She took every cent I gave her and handed it to you. And you knew. You both knew. I needed help. And I didn't." "You don't think I needed help? I was working 2 jobs at 16 to keep the lights on while you got to be a kid. I gave up college. I gave up relationships. I gave up everything so you and Mom could have what you needed. And the one time I asked for honesty, for basic respect, I got cut off." Aaron went quiet. For a second, I thought maybe he'd actually heard me. Maybe something I said had gotten through. But then he said, "If you don't come back and help Mom, I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are." "Go ahead," I said. "Tell whoever you want. I'm done caring what people think." I walked past him into my building. He called after me, but I didn't turn around. I got into the elevator and pressed the button for my floor. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From adrenaline. From finally standing up for myself. When I got inside my apartment, I locked the door and sat on the floor with my back against it. I stayed there for a long time. Just breathing. Processing. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. "This is your Aunt Carol. I heard about what's going on with your mother. I can't believe you would abandon her like this. You should be ashamed of yourself." I deleted it. Another text. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in 10 years. "Family is supposed to stick together. What you're doing is wrong." Deleted. Another one. And another. And another. Apparently Aaron had made good on his threat. He'd told everyone his version of the story. The one where I was the villain. The ungrateful daughter who turned her back on her sick mother. None of them knew the truth. None of them had been there for the years of manipulation and lies and emotional blackmail. They just saw a sick woman and an absent daughter and made their judgments. And you know what? I didn't care. For the first time in my life, I didn't care what they thought. Because their opinions were based on a story that wasn't true. And I didn't owe them an explanation. I blocked every single number. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I felt guilty, but because I kept replaying the conversation with Aaron in my head. The way he'd tried to manipulate me. To guilt me. to make me feel like I was the problem. It was the same tactic my mom had used my entire life. The same pattern. And for years it had worked. But not anymore. I got up and made myself some tea. Sat on my balcony even though it was cold outside. Wrapped myself in a blanket and just sat there looking at the city lights. My phone rang. I almost didn't look, but something made me check. It was my mom. She was awake. And she was calling me herself. My finger hovered over the answer button. Every instinct I'd been trained to follow told me to pick up. To hear her out. To give her one more chance. But I thought about what my therapist had said. About boundaries. About protecting my peace. I let it ring. She called again. And again. 5 times in a row. Then a voicemail. I waited 10 minutes before I listened to it. My heart was pounding the entire time. When I finally pressed play, her voice came through. Weak. Shaky. Jennifer, it's Mom. I know you're angry with me. And maybe you have a right to be. But I'm in the hospital, and I'm scared, and I need you. Please call me back. Please. I'm sorry for what I said. I didn't mean it. You're my daughter, and I love you. Please. I played it again. Listened to every word. Every pause. Every inflection. And I heard it. The manipulation. The guilt trip. The, I'm sorry, that wasn't really an apology. It was a transaction. She was sorry because she needed something. Not because she'd actually done anything wrong. If she had truly been sorry, she would have called months ago. Would have reached out when she didn't need anything from me. Would have acknowledged what she'd done without using her hospital stay as leverage. I deleted the voicemail. Then I called my therapist and left her a message. Told her what happened. Told her I needed an emergency session if she had time. She called me back 20 minutes later. We talked for over an hour. She helped me see what I already knew but needed to hear from someone else. My mom wasn't going to change. Erin wasn't going to change. And if I went back, nothing would be different except that I would lose all the progress I'd made. I'd be right back where I started. Drowning. You've done the hard part, my therapist said. You've set the boundary. Now you just have to hold it. How long does it take? I asked. For it to stop hurting? As long as it takes. There's no timeline for grief. Because that's what this is, Jennifer. You're grieving the family you deserved but never had. She was right. The next few weeks were rough. My mom kept calling. Erin kept texting. The messages got angrier. More desperate. More manipulative. You're going to regret this. When I'm gone, you'll wish you'd been here. I can't believe I raised such a selfish daughter. Each one was designed to break me down. To make me feel small and guilty and wrong. But I held firm. I started journaling. Writing down everything I was feeling. Everything I'd been through. Seeing it all on paper made it real. Made it undeniable. I wrote about being 8 years old and making dinner for my brother because my mom couldn't get out of bed. I wrote about being 16 and giving up my paycheck. I wrote about being 25 and choosing my family over the man I loved. I wrote about every lie. Every manipulation. Every moment I felt invisible. And I wrote about the freedom I was finally starting to feel. 2 months after the hospital incident, the calls stopped. The texts stopped. It was like they'd finally given up. Or maybe they'd found someone else to use. I didn't know. And I realized I didn't need to know. My life started to really take shape after that. My business grew. I took on bigger projects. Started making more money than I ever had before. And this time it was mine. I wasn't sending it to anyone else. I was investing it in myself. I traveled. Went to New York for a design conference. Then to California to visit a college friend I hadn't seen in years. Then to Mexico just because I'd never been and always wanted to go. Every trip felt like reclaiming a piece of myself I'd lost. I started dating someone. His name was Michael. He was a teacher. Kind. Patient. He didn't push me to talk about my family, but when I was ready, he listened. You're one of the strongest people I've ever met, he said one night over dinner. I didn't feel strong. I felt broken and stitched back together. But maybe that was its own kind of strength. 3 months into our relationship, he asked me to meet his family. I panicked. The idea of family dinners and obligations and expectations made my chest tight. But his family wasn't like mine. They were warm, welcoming. They asked me questions about my work and actually listened to the answers. They didn't need anything from me. They just wanted to know me. It was the first time I'd experienced what family could be, what it should be. Sitting around their dinner table, laughing at stories and passing dishes, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. I felt like I belonged, and I hadn't had to sacrifice anything to earn it. Life became something I didn't recognize, in the best way possible. For the first time since I could remember, I woke up without that heavy feeling in my chest, without immediately checking my phone to see what crisis needed my attention, without planning my day around someone else's needs. I woke up and thought about what I wanted to do. It sounds simple, maybe even silly, but for someone who spent 35 years living for other people, it was revolutionary. Michael and I got serious. We talked about moving in together, about building a future, about all the things I thought I'd never have because I was too busy fixing everyone else's life. "Do you ever think about reaching out to them?" he asked me one night. We were cooking dinner together in my kitchen. He was chopping vegetables while I stirred pasta sauce. "Sometimes," I admitted, "not because I miss them, but because I wonder if I did the right thing." "Do you think you did?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. "Yeah," I said. "I do. Because if I hadn't walked away, I'd still be stuck. Still giving everything I have to people who only see me as useful. I'd never have this life." He came over and kissed my forehead. "I'm glad you chose yourself." "Me too." 6 months later, something happened that I didn't expect. I was at a coffee shop working on a design proposal when I heard a voice behind me. "Jennifer." I turned around. It was my mom's sister, my Aunt Linda, the one who had sent me that awful text a year ago calling me shameful. My first instinct was to grab my laptop and leave, but something made me stay. "Hi," I said. Neutral. Not warm, not cold. "Can I sit?" she asked. I nodded. She sat down across from me, and for a moment, neither of us said anything. "I owe you an apology," she finally said. I didn't respond. Just waited. "I said some horrible things to you, and I didn't know the whole story. Your brother, Aaron, he only told us his version. Made it sound like you just abandoned your mother for no reason. And you believed him without asking me." She looked down at her coffee. "You're right. I should have. I'm sorry. Why are you telling me this now?" She sighed. "Because your mother's been talking. And the more she talks, the more I'm realizing that maybe things weren't the way Aaron said they were." I felt my heart rate pick up. "What has she been saying?" "She's been complaining about you. About how ungrateful you are. How you never appreciated anything she did for you. How you always thought you were better than everyone." She paused. "But then she'll turn around and ask me for money. Or ask your Uncle Tom for money. She's been making the rounds, trying to get people to feel sorry for her. Let me guess. She tells everyone it's an emergency. Every time." I almost laughed. Almost. "And people are starting to notice," Linda continued. "Starting to ask questions. Your cousin Mark looked into her bank account because she asked to borrow $5,000. He found out she'd been giving everything to Aaron." "I know. You knew." "That's why I left. Well, part of why. She was using the money I gave her to fund Aaron's lifestyle while lying to my face about it." Linda sat back in her chair. "I had no idea. I'm so sorry, Jennifer. For everything I said. For not listening to you. It felt good to hear. But it didn't change what had happened." "I appreciate the apology," I said. "But I'm not looking to rebuild those relationships. I've moved on." "I understand. I just wanted you to know that not everyone believes their version anymore. And if you ever need someone in the family who's on your side, I'm here." After she left, I sat there for a long time. Part of me felt vindicated, validated. People were finally seeing the truth. But it didn't matter as much as I thought it would, because I didn't need them to see it. I already knew. Another year passed. My business was thriving. Michael and I moved in together. I made new friends, built a life that was fully mine. I barely thought about my mom or Aaron anymore. They'd become like characters in a story I used to know. Distant, disconnected. Then, on a random Tuesday morning, I got an email. The subject line said, "I'm sorry." It was from Aaron. I stared at it for a full minute before opening it. The email was long. He said he'd been doing a lot of thinking, that he'd realized how much he'd taken advantage of me, how much he'd let Mom manipulate both of us. He said he was in therapy now, working on himself, trying to be better. He said he didn't expect me to forgive him, didn't expect anything from me. He just wanted me to know that he was sorry, really sorry. At the end, he wrote, "You deserved better. You always did. And I'm ashamed it took me this long to see it." I read it 3 times. Then I closed my laptop and went about my day. 3 days later, I responded. I kept it short. "Thank you for the apology. I hope therapy helps you. I hope you build a good life for yourself. But I'm not interested in rebuilding our relationship. I need you to respect that. Take care of yourself." He wrote back immediately, said he understood, said he'd respect my boundaries, thanked me for even responding. And that was it. No drama, no guilt trips, no manipulation. Just 2 people acknowledging the past and moving forward separately. It felt like closure. A few months after that, I found out through Aunt Linda that my mom had moved to another state. She'd met someone online and decided to start fresh somewhere new. Aaron had gotten a steady job and was apparently doing better. I felt nothing when I heard the news. Not relief, not sadness, just nothing. They'd become strangers. And I was okay with that. Michael proposed to me on a trip to Colorado. We were hiking in the mountains, and he got down on one knee right there on the trail. It was perfect, simple, just us and the sky and the mountains. I said yes without hesitation. Planning the wedding brought up some complicated feelings. I had no family to invite, no mother to help me pick a dress, no brother to walk me down the aisle. For a moment, I felt that old familiar sadness, the grief for the family I never had. But then Sarah offered to help me find a dress. Michael's sister offered to plan the bridal shower. His mom offered to help with anything I needed. And I realized something. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who supports you, who loves you without conditions. And I had that now. The wedding was small, intimate, just close friends and Michael's family. People who actually knew me, who cared about me. During the reception, Michael's mom gave a toast. She talked about how proud she was to welcome me into their family, how she'd watched me grow and heal over the past few years, how she admired my strength. I cried happy tears for the first time in as long as I could remember. That night, lying in bed next to my husband, I thought about everything that had happened, everything I'd been through, everything I'd lost and everything I'd gained. Walking away from my family was the hardest thing I'd ever done. But it was also the best thing I'd ever done. Because it taught me that I was worth more than I'd been taught to believe. That my needs mattered. That I deserved love that didn't come with conditions or price tags. It taught me that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to let go of people who hurt you. Even if they're family. Especially if they're family. I spent so many years thinking that being a good daughter meant sacrificing everything, giving until there was nothing left, never saying no, never setting boundaries. But I was wrong. Being a good daughter doesn't mean letting yourself be destroyed. It doesn't mean accepting abuse or manipulation or lies, because that's what family does. Real love doesn't ask you to disappear. Real love doesn't drain you. Real love doesn't keep score. And if the people in your life can't love you without using you, then they don't actually love you at all. That text message my mom sent, "Don't call or come over. We're done," was supposed to hurt me. Supposed to punish me. Supposed to make me come crawling back, desperate for her approval. But instead, it set me free. My response, "Got it," wasn't angry or spiteful. It was honest. It was acceptance. It was me finally choosing myself. And that choice changed everything. I'm not going to lie and say it was easy. That I never had doubts. That I never felt guilty or sad or confused. I felt all of those things. Sometimes I still do. But I also feel peace, joy, freedom. I feel like myself. For anyone out there who's in a similar situation, who's being drained by family members who only see you as useful, who's sacrificing their own life to prop up people who won't even appreciate it, I want you to hear this. You are not selfish for setting boundaries. You are not cruel for saying no. You are not a bad person for choosing yourself. And you are not obligated to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. It's going to be hard. People will judge you. They'll call you names. They'll tell you that family is supposed to stick together no matter what. But those people don't have to live your life. They don't have to carry your pain. They don't have to sacrifice their dreams and their peace and their future. You do. So choose yourself. Choose your peace. Choose your future. And if the people in your life can't support that, then they don't deserve a place in it. My life now is nothing like I imagined it would be when I was that 8-year-old girl listening to my parents fight through thin walls. When I was the teenager giving up her paycheck. When I was the young woman choosing family over love. It's better. So much better. Because it's mine. Every choice. Every boundary. Every dream. Mine. And no one can take that away from me ever again. That text message ended a relationship. But it started a life. My life. And I've never been more grateful. If this story touched you, if you've ever had to make the impossible choice between family and yourself, leave a comment and let me know. Subscribe so you don't miss more real stories like this one.